on. All right, here we go. Okay. First of all, good vach, everyone. The Shir Motzei Shabbos. It was Pashas Baal. So many different inyanim in this. There's just one inyan that I want to bring in. Pashas Baal starts with the commandment to Aaron Cohen to light up the candles, the face of the candelabra, and they said that towards the face of the candelabra, let the 7 candles light. The language is, light up the candles. What's the, okay, so that's supposed to point towards the middle. But when you're saying supposed to point towards the middle, you know that the every candle, being that they had, the cup had oil in it. So if the cup, let's say the cup had, it had a spout kind of, like a pitcher. A spout, and in that spout, they would put the wick. So the candles in the menorah, so the cups were like this, but they said you should turn the cups in such a way that the spout would be pointing towards the middle cup. That was the middle cup, and all the other cups would turn to it. So, but when it says towards the face of the menorah, which we understand to mean the middle candle, let the 7 candle shine. That puts a little bit of a difficulty. The difficulty is if you have the 6, 3 from this side, and 3 from this side shining towards the middle and shining towards the face of the menorah, that does mean, those 6 candles are shining towards the middle. Why does it say towards the face of the menorah, let the 7 candles shine? Should be 6, turning towards the one in the middle. So why does it say? In the very end of Parshas Baal, we have the Maisa of Miriam and Aaron, where Miriam speaks about Moshe Rabbeinu, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu calls them out and scolds them, with great anger. Then he leaves. When the cloud leaves, Hanukkah turns, and there's Miriam, and she's white with leprosy, like as if she's covered with snow. So he asks Moshe Rabbeinu to forgive him and say, let our sister not be like a dead person who comes out of its mother's womb with half its flesh eaten away. So we can basically understand that this means that, a leper, the flesh of a leper, disintegrates. But again, the language is awkward. What does it mean? Let her not be like the dead that comes out of its mother's womb and have its flesh being eaten. What's it got to do with his mother's womb? Any leper is like that. What's it got to do with, being born, and when it comes out, half the flesh is being eaten away? What's going on here? Well, we learned, the Torah Chaf Aleph, Sichos Haran, which it starts with Baal, and that particular Torah starts, basically contains 7 sets of 7. It basically contains 6, as it were, from the best case scenario to the last case scenario. It starts describing what is the ideal. The ideal is the candelabra, which is the face of Moshe Rabbeinu. The Torah starts as follows: that there are 2 types of intellects. There's one type, which is a worldly intellect, which is being put together by preamblums. 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 2 is 4, 4 + 4 is 8. And like this, you learn, and you build a whole building. But there is a godly intellect that is infinite. And the godly infinite that is always here. It always exists. It never began and it never ends. That kind of intellect, the only way, you don't need any preamblums to figure it out. The way that it comes to you is by you preparing the faculties to receive that light. The kalim, the vessels, to fill that light. Like the menorah that has the cups, on the top of each candle to, with the oil, so you can light up the wick. The 7 candles that we're talking about that enable the infinite light to get down to you in one fell swoop, without having to figure things out from the ABC, is the candelabra, is the 7 candles are the 2 ears and the 2 eyes and the 2 nostrils and the mouth. The mouth being the middle. So the rectification of the candles, rectification of the mouth is not to utter a lie. The rectification of the nose is to have Yiras Shamayim. It says about Mashiach will be able to discern every person if he's guilty or not by the sense of smell. Ba'aricho b'yiras Hashem. Of such Yiras Shamayim, he'll be able to tell just by the smell. It's not the kind of smell that we recognize. And then you have the rectification of the ears. What is the rectification of the ears? Not that the ears can hear. It's not even that you don't hear Lashon Hara or whatever it is, because that is already included in the mouth. Not to speak means also not to hear. The rectification of the ears means that you have faith in the Chachamim that speak to you. The Emunas Chachamim, that's when your ears are fixed, are perfected. And it makes perfect sense. The entire world believes in a bunch of baloney from here to kingdom come. And they come with all kinds of fake news and this and that. And everything that they say today in the newspaper or whatever it is has the same value if everything that was said in the newspapers in July 17th, 1997. Do you remember what was written in newspapers at that time? Anybody who remembers what was written on July 17th, 1997 in the newspapers, please lift his hand. Nobody lifts his hand. You know why? Because nobody remembers. You know why nobody remembers? Because it doesn't make any difference. So this is what happened, July 17th, 1997. So what? The same thing is whatever it is they're saying now. Everything they're saying is worthless. It's meaningless. It has nothing to do with you. There is a possibility of 1 out of a billion that anything that they say is actually negate to you. But that information will already find its way to you one way or another. So that's the waste of ears to listen to these diburim and to believe in them is a kilkul oznaim. This is you're damaging your hearing capability. Perfecting your hearing capability means to listen and to believe in the words of true chacham, true sages. And then you have the eyes, and the tikkun of the eyes is not to look at what you're not supposed to look at. When you are refraining from exposing yourself to things that you shouldn't, being the eyes, ears, when you're afraid from things you shouldn't be afraid of, when you're afraid of Kadosh Baruch Hu, you're not afraid of other things. You know, they say about the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, the father-in-law of the last Lubavitcher Rebbe, that during the Bolshevik Revolution, they arrested him and they interrogated him. And one of his interrogators took out a gun and says, we have a toy here that make people like you talk. So he told him, this toy that you're holding in your hand can scare somebody who has many idols in one world. But it does not scare somebody who has one God in 2 worlds. You're not scaring me. When you are clean, you don't, because you see, when you see things that you should not see, it influences you immediately. The heart craves, you're looking at things, it makes it impossible for you to see the things that you do see. You become desensitized. When you believe things you shouldn't believe, it takes away from the faith that you should have. When a person says things he should not say, it makes it impossible for him to say divrei emes be'emes. When a person is not afraid of Kadosh Baruch Hu, he's afraid of everything else. That's the menorah. Now the thing is that the shleimus of the menorah is the face of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu, it says about his mouth, it says mouth to mouth I will speak to him. Moshe Rabbeinu says, whatever Moshe Rabbeinu says is only what HaKadosh Baruch Hu says. That's it. When it says about the rectificate, the perfect nose, Moshe Rabbeinu says, in this week's parasha, it says, Moshe Rabbeinu is the humblest person of all the people in the earth. That's the ultimate Yerushalayim. It's all HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's nothing to me. I don't care. I mean, what you put me down, you don't put me down. It's nothing to do with me. I'm like not even here. The ears of Moshe Rabbeinu are perfect when he says, Baruch says, B'chol Beisi Ne'eman, also this week's parsha. And he is, Moshe Rabbeinu is totally faithful and trustworthy in everything that exists. Moshe Rabbeinu is aware of everything. He's aware of everything, but he only says that which he knows that Kadosh Baruch Hu wants him to say. Here, the emunah of Moshe Rabbeinu becomes, the emunah Sichos Moshe Rabbeinu becomes emunah in himself. Moshe Rabbeinu is the chacham. And when it has to do the rectification of the eyes, Moshe Rabbeinu says, Tmunas Hashem, maybe the picture of Hashem, the countenance of Hashem, he will look at, he will see. This is a perfection of the sight, because Moshe Rabbeinu does not look at anything which is beneath him, which he shouldn't be looking at. Moshe Rabbeinu does not look at anything which is above him either. He doesn't look at that which he's not supposed to look. He only looks straight on what it is that Hashem is showing him. That's the pshat, that the countenance of Hashem, he looks at the countenance of Hashem. If a person all the time refrained from looking at things he shouldn't because it's beneath him, and refrain from looking at things which are above him, because it's above him, but just look at whatever it is that Hashem is showing him, he will forever be going up and up and up in the ladder that leads to Kadosh Baruch Hu. So that's perfection. So in the very beginning of the Pasha, we have what is the way to get that, connected to the Shefa Eloki, to that godly bounty. You fix the menorah, and with that menorah, your 7 candles, your eyes, your ears, your nose, and your mouth, and everything that they mean, they awaken your mind, because the mind is switchable. Your mind can either serve as your own personal computer, or even your own personal lawyer to explain why what your cravings are is actually the good thing to do and the just thing to do. This is true justice. This is what for women to kill their children. That's social, whatever it is, and so forth, and all the rest of the schmutz that they're talking out there. But when you are fixing all the inputs, the ears, the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, that switches over the mind, and the mind becomes a vessel to a heavenly bounty. And heavenly bounty, when it comes in one fell swoop. You don't have to work at it. And when it comes to you in one fell swoop, at once, you become so excited you don't have to work so hard in Avodas Hashem. And we explained it, we learned to Chaf Aleph, that it's akin to somebody who is telling you a joke, right? So, when I was young, I believed that anybody could become president. But when I got older, to my horror, I discovered that it was true. Well, that's the joke. So you tell it to somebody who has a sense of humor, which is a little slow. Says, I don't get it. Tell it again. When I was young, I believed that anyone could be president. Okay. You mean anybody? Yeah, anybody. Big, small, women, this, that. Okay, get it. All right. But when then I grew up, then I saw that what I believed was true. Yeah. You see, when I was young, I believed, it was like a plus. It's like a freedom. But when I was older, to my horror, I realized, that it's like a double-edged sword. It can, it can work the other way around also. So that person says, okay, I get it. The only thing I don't get is, when do you laugh? Okay, I got it. You begin at the beginning, you start like this, and then you see it's a double-edged sword. But when do you start laughing? When is it funny? The reason why it's not funny is because he had to explain the joke, And they say, when you explain a joke, it's like dissecting the frog. You know more, but the frog is dead. It's like, so you know more about the joke, but it's not funny anymore. Why? What makes it funny? The thing that makes it funny, that is the end of the joke, you get the whole joke together in one fell swoop. Bam, you realize, it started like this, and then it's double, and the dichotomy of the beginning and the end, that's the thing that makes it funny. And it makes you laugh. The same thing when you get a sogas elakus in one fell swoop, you become excited to the nth degree. It's not that you have to put together like you're building a model airplane. It's like you're painting the wheels, you're putting this, just the whole thing, boom, just comes out. Anybody who learns going on, suddenly you get it, and you're like, wow, it's unbelievable. You feel it's like wow. When the whole seichel comes in one shot, the excitement comes. So the way to get that perfection is by working on 7 candles. Derech HaFalef Rabbeinu goes through, there's the 7 candles, then we have the 7 clouds of Sukkos, and the difference in between them is that when you're working on the 7 candles of Baal Loischal, first of all, you're preparing your faculties, and then the light shines in. But when we're talking about the clouds, Anona Kovad, which is the source of Sukkos, the clouds, the heavenly clouds, were both the source of light, and they were also the source of the kalim, the filter that enabled them to accept the light. The light and the kalim came together. And then Rabbeinu goes ahead and he speaks about the 7 days of merriment after Chasana. Over here we have one step down again. First we have the Kiddushin. We get married. Afterwards come the 7 days of merriment. Then come the Kalim. First of all, you're working on the Kalim in the menorah, Kalim, and then the light. In Sukkot, you get the light and the Kalim together. Shivas Mishte, you're getting the light, and then you're getting the Kalim. As we know, Pesach, and then the entire Sphere Soimer is that kind of a b'di'evid. Because Baruch Hu give us all the light, and then we have to count 49 days to prepare the Kalim. And afterwards, Rabbeinu talks about the 7 days of mourning. That over here, it's already too late for that particular neshama as far as getting the light in this world. After that neshama already passes away, so they have to sit, shiva for that particular niftar, so that neshama can go up to or opponent to the face of the menorah one more time again. Now, so in other words, we're going one step down, and then another last step down that deals about what happens if a person did not leave a child in this world. A person does not leave a child in this world. So we know the mitzvah of Yibum. A brother, we're learning Sichos Haran now in Daf Yomi, right? That if a brother dies without any children, that his brother is supposed to b'miyabim his wife, and she gives birth, and they name the child after the deceased brother, and in fact that is his neshama. The Gemara says there's a big problem. There's a big problem in there, because what happens is that when the woman gives birth to the neshama of that which used to be her husband, in effect, his wife became his mother. So that puts the child that was born in a great disadvantage. He doesn't have a shidduch, except through great rachamim. And then there's even a lower madrega that the brother doesn't even want to be miyabam. There's she has to make a chalitza and she has to spit. There's a very deep inyonim that are. So you see in this week's parsha, the whole mahalach from the very beginning to the end. It starts by aloisches pnei meneros, the way the tikkun should be, and it ends with Miriam damaging the honor of Moshe that has the perfect countenance. You know, Pel Pe'av Dabarboy, Onav Mikol Odom, Ne B'chol Beisi Ne'emanu, Tunis Yoshem Yabit. So that fact that Miriam has to spend 7 days outside of the Machna, that's the 7 kalim that she has to supply in order to be mechuber, in order to be connected to the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There is no end to the rachamim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Up to here, Kuf Aleph. Let's go with a little story from the Baal Shem Tov for this Motzei Shabbos. Here's the story of Baal Shem Tov and the people of Tarnopol. The people of Tarnopol were, disputed very much on the Baal Shem Tov, and they all thought that they knew what they were talking about, and they were speaking badly about him. So one day, the son of one of the big shots, the wealthy people in town, became insane, lost his mind. So his father, the Gvir, went with his son to all the big doctors in the generation. There's nothing they could do. So the wife of the Gvir said, listen, the entire world are praising the Baal Shem Tov, that he's doing miracles. Maybe what choice do we have? Let's take our son. Maybe he will heal him, from his madness. But, rich people, they know everything. So forget about it. I ain't taking it to him. So as far as we was concerned, the Baal Shem Tov was just a joke. After a while, this rich person saw that his son, who was really a very, very special boy before, very, very special young man, still, he still does not, didn't return to his sanity. He decided, something, let's try to do something, like when somebody's coming to a psychiatrist, he says, listen, I have a friend who has a problem, like, doesn't want to say I have a friend. I have a friend of mine has a friend, and that friend has a problem. So he asked the other Gvirim in town that should write a letter to the Baal Shem Tov that he should come and spend Shabbos in Tarnopol, and he should heal his son. And Taka, they brought the Baal Shem Tov, to the house of the Gvir. Now, the way the Baal Shem Tov used to treat these kind of poor people, the insane people, they used to bring to him, he would give them a certain time to speak to them, and he would heal them just with chokhmah. He would speak to them, and it would heal them. Now, to the son of this Gvir, he set aside a specific time. They will bring him before him and they'll speak to him. The rest of the day, the poor young man was actually closed in a room with a guard. To keep him, he shouldn't go wild. He literally was in what they call in a padded cell. And they saw something miraculous. When the guard would bring the son, the Meshiganik son, to the Baal Shem Tov, he would be standing with their cheretz, wouldn't do anything, didn't have to guard him, didn't make sure that he doesn't go wild. He would just listen to whatever Baal Shem Tov told him, with their cheretz. When it came to Erev Shabbos, they asked the Baal Shem Tov which meat he wants to eat for Shabbos. So he called the Sheikhet. Baal Shem Tov says, bring me the Sheikhet. And let the Sheikhet shecht before him a good lamb. And they saw it, they did it. And the Baal Shem Tov told the Sheikhet that the Baal Shem Tov himself, he wants to check the lung of the keves, and he checked it. He said the Sheikhet that the lung is glatt, everything is okay. When the Baal Shem Tov went to the mikveh, and he waited there until the Sheikhet took out the lung and checked it. And the person who, took the skin off the lamb gave it to the Sheikhet. And the Sheikhet saw that there is a round hole in the lung, which means alpidin, that lamb is treif. So when he saw this, he waited until the Baal Shem Tov will come to show him, that lung with the hole. Maybe he will say, okay, so shecht a different lung, a different lamb. The Baal Shem Tov came, took one look, and said, the lung is kosher, cook this lamb for Shabbos. No, you can imagine the brouhaha that started from that. The Sheikhet went and told the people of town, the Baal Shem Tov, said that something which is treif is kosher. And all the people who are the misnagdim and they're of the town, they were so happy. We found something. We can, and they were talking about what they're going to do. They decided that after the tefillah during the day, they will all come together with the Rav of the town to the Achsani, to the place where the Baal Shem Tov stayed, with the Rav, and will argue with him or prove to him that he allowed a treifa, and they will shame him before everybody. No, that's exactly what they did. They went with the Rav to Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov was still davening. So the Rav sat at the head of the table on the chair of the Baal Shem Tov. And all the Misnagdim sat around the table, and they waited until he comes in order to, to put him down. Well, the time came of the poor, insane young man to speak Baal Shem Tov. So the guard of the mad young man thought the Baal Shem Tov already finished davening. So he sent the Meshuggah to the house of the Baal Shem Tov. When the Meshuggah saw that the Rav of the town is sitting on the shulchan, the Baal Shem Tov is not there, he started to speak like the ways of the insane. And he said, and while he was saying it, he said, the Baal Shem Tov checked the lung of the lamb. And then he went to the mikveh. And when I saw, the madman says, when I saw there's nobody in the yard, I made a hole in the lung. I made a round hole in the lung. When the Rav and the people heard that Maisa of the Meshuggah, when they heard this word, they understood, according to him, that obviously the lamb is kosher. They all ran away from the house of the Baal Shem Tov because they were afraid, what they have to say to him. So this is how everything changed. Up to here is the Maisa from the Baal Shem Tov for this week. What happened with the young man, I have no idea. Anyhow, I just told the story that we know. Let's take a little look at Sichos Haran for this week. And here we go. We are Kuf Chaf Zayin, 127. One time, Rabbeinu HaKodesh was speaking from the Inn of Elul. And he said that fact that the Yidden are saying the Tikkunim, the Tikkun Zer in Elul, that from that Nigunim, that Nigun of saying the Tikkun Zer, I don't even know what this Nigun is. And also from the faintness of the heart that everybody feels. Because people are staying in shul later, there's slichas and whatever, the satikunim, so people feel weaker. It says from all this causes for very supernal things, the very big tikkunim to happen in the Shemayim. Without specifically talking about these specific tikkunim, the one thing that we need to understand is that, many times we feel we are like people, regular people. And every now and then we get a chance to do a mitzvah. And every now and then, chas v'chalila, we do something which is not that hot. Okay, so what about the rest of the time? You're not doing a mitzvah now. Baruch Shem, you're not doing Nevera now. So what happens to you? What are you? Just a person. I can go to, well done butchery, get myself a tomahawk steak or whatever it is, and enjoy myself. Not doing an avera, not doing a mitzvah. But that is a basic misconception of who we are and what we are. We are Lamaisa, angel's machine. We are this kind of machine that gets fed raw material, which is life force from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the life force of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is clean, neutral energy, as it were. It's a life force, not just energy. It's a life energy. Now, that energy comes to us with the food we eat, the air we breathe, the sunlight that we get. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has many different ways of giving us the life force. Whatever it is that we do, whatever we think, whatever we say, whatever we listen to, needless to say, whatever we say, whatever we do, that takes the neutral life force and makes an angel out of it. And that comes on the other side of the production line. It's a Pirkei Avos. It's not, I didn't invent this. Because Pirkei Avos says, anybody does one mitzvah creates a lawyer for himself. Anybody chas chalila does an avera creates a prosecutor for himself. Which means your energy, your life force that Kosh Baruch Hu gives you comes out of you. It becomes an angel like this. And if chas chalila, like this, it comes an angel like that. And everything that you do, every thought that you think, you're sitting in shul and you're spending 5 minutes more. We're going to say Tikkun HaKlali, or I'm going to say some Tehillim. I'm going to do this. I have trouble getting up in the morning, and I will force myself to get up and go and do it. That thing already, it's not neutral. It does immense things in the entire makeup of the entire Bria. Rabbeinu says if you turn your hand like this, countless worlds are going like that. When you're going with your hands like this, countless worlds going like that. You have no idea the kind of quote unquote magic that you are just by moving about, just by doing what you're doing, just by aiming what you're aiming to. And we have so many tremendous tools and jewelry and fine tools to, you have the Tikkun Zer to say an Elul. Even the fact that you're staying in shul later and you're weak, you need to go home to eat already, that already fixes and does immense rectifications in the entire Bria. It's good to be a Jew. It's really special. It's really, really special. Baruch Hashem. I want to wish each and every one of you a fantastic week. B'ezrat Hashem. Mirz Hashem, on Monday, we will continue in the Sipurey Maises with the Maisa 4 of the burger and the pauper. We are holding where the general has kidnapped the wife of the pauper. What happens next? Dum, 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 dum. You know, we're already holding that. So, and then Mitzvah Shem, Wednesday and Thursday, we have the Kuta Maran, Mitzvah Shem.